Welcome back everybody to another Dreamweaver tutorial. So we're getting ready to add typeface and more fonts to our web page, and we've talked about web safe and web friendly fonts, that they're the only fonts that we know everyone can see on any computer, and you've seen that that list is rather short. How am I supposed to make my web page stand out if I have so few typefaces to choose from? Well, I have some good news. That's what this tutorial is for. I'm going to show you how you can bring Google fonts into your web page. A lot of people I've talked to did not know you could do this, and I thought it was more commonly known than that, so that's why I'm making this video for it. Let's go ahead and go to our little folder here, our Dreamweaver projects folder, and we'll make a new folder. We'll call this one, all lowercase, all one word, more fonts. Alright, then we'll go into Dreamweaver, and we'll go up here to Site, and we'll find New Site, maybe, and we will call this one Adding Google Fonts. And then here there's this little folder. We'll click on that, and I will select my More Fonts folder. We'll click Select Folder, and then Save. Now we're ready to create the page, so we'll go up here to File and New, and make sure it's New Document, HTML, None, and then for the title we will call this one Google Fonts Page, and Create. Finally, we'll go up to File and Save As, and then find this folder that we just created, the More Fonts folder. We'll open that up, and in here we're going to call it, you guessed it, index.html. Then we'll click Save. Alright, now we're ready to get this thing rolling. This is going to be the simplest web page ever. Down here we are just going to use H1 and a paragraph. So here over with the headings, select H1, and we can just leave it like that, and then we'll go underneath and we will add a paragraph. So here's our type that we're going to be using, and then we're going to go over here to CSS Designer, and we are going to add a new CSS source. Create a new one, and in our area here I'll click Browse, make sure I'm in More Fonts, and then I will just call this styles.css and save and OK. Alright, so here we have our style sheet, and then up here we have our styles right here, so that's all fine. I'm going to go File, Save All, just make sure everything is kind of saved in there for right now. And I want to bring in the typefaces that can be used on this. So let's go to the internet. We'll go to fonts.google.com. This is where all the Google fonts are. All sorts of these that you can install on your computer, use for a variety of projects. Some of them are great, some of them not so great, but it's better than just using the regular web safe fonts. If you are new to typeface pairing, or you just struggle with it at times, I do, and I've done this a lot, and I'll sometimes hit like a roadblock of fonts, and I won't really know what looks good anymore, and it'll be kind of lame, but I'll think it looks cool. So sometimes I'll just do a Google search and look up great font pairing ideas for whatever I want to create. This one, this is a site called fontpair.co, and I do like this Oswald and Source Sans Pro. So don't be afraid to use that, or to ask friends, or if you know any designers, say, hey, what do you think of these typeface pairings? So I'm going to use this one here, Oswald and Source Sans Pro. So going back over here to Google Fonts, up here where it says Search Fonts, I will type in Oswald, and here it is. And if I click on this, it shows me this typeface here, and then over on the upper right hand corner of this window it says View Selected Families. It's like 3 squares and a plus. I'm going to click that, and I get this nice little emoticon ASCII shoulder shrug. There's nothing on there yet. So let's say I want to come up with the typeface that I want to add, and I really like, for a heading, back at this example. I kind of like this medium 500 or even the semi-bold. I might go with the semi-bold. So let me click here where it says select semi-bold 600 and I click a plus, and here we have all sorts of information in here that it's giving us, and it's going to remember it for us. That's pretty awesome. I'm going to go back up here to Google Fonts, and then the other one I was going to use, Source Sans Pro. Okay, so I will type in Source Sans Pro. So I'm going to click on this one, and I want something that kind of contrasts with that other one, so I might go light 300. That's not bad. I'm going to click this, and if I go back here to my area, now we can see it even added a little more information up here, and then it gives us some CSS rules to apply down here. Alright, so what I will do is I'm going to copy this top area from Google Fonts, and then here in the head section, and I'm going to put this underneath my styles for my regular style sheet, and I'm going to paste this underneath. It's a lot of stuff. Thanks Google for figuring that out for all of us. And then I'm going to go File and Save, and then I'm going to look back over here, and you'll see down here where it says CSS rules to apply to specific families. Alright, so I'm going to shrink this down just a little bit, and I'll bring this over to the side. I have too many folders going on right here. Alright, so I can see that. And now I'm going to go over to my styles. Alright, and in the styles here, I can type in H1, use my fancy brackets, and in here I'm going to copy this Oswald, font family Oswald, and I'm going to put it right here in these fancy smancy brackets. Okay, then I am going to copy the second one and then go back over here, and I'll put in a P for paragraph, and I'll paste this in there too. I like to copy it from here because some of these have quotation marks, some of them don't use quotation marks, and that way I just can make sure I have it right. Alright, now when I save this all, and I go over here, and I go File, Save All, sometimes this isn't going to show up here in your typeface, and it's like, what the heck? It just kind of depends what text editor you're using. So you can actually download the fonts on your computer or the typefaces on your computer and install those. If you do that, then it'll show up on any of your text editors. And then in a last resort, if you don't want to install them and if it's not showing the fonts correctly on here, you can always go to my More Fonts folder and then open up our page, and then here you have these new typefaces that you installed. All sorts of applications for that, and again, it gives you a lot better variety for these. I'm a big fan of Adobe. You can, if you have Adobe Creative Cloud account, you can do the same thing with Adobe fonts, but the problem with that is if you make a bunch of stuff for clients and then all of a sudden you're not having that subscription anymore, then you're not going to have access to those fonts and they're not there anymore. So I think Google is a better alternative to it and is a good free way, especially if you're new to web design and you're trying to get started and you don't want to pay a bunch of money for typefaces and fonts. Let me know if that's helpful. Let me know if it wasn't, and I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.